All right, so what if I told you that there's a whole world that exists on every single surface you touch and in every drop of water you see, yet it's completely invisible? Well, today we're going to dive deep into that hidden universe, the incredible world of microscopic life. I mean, seriously, have you ever stopped to wonder what you'd actually see if that invisible world just, poof, suddenly became visible? Well, let's take a little journey of scale together and find out. You see, the truth is, the world we see with our own eyes, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the surface layer. Hiding right underneath is this staggering layer of complexity, absolutely packed with tiny living creatures that shape, pretty much everything. And you gotta remember, for almost all of human history, this whole microscopic world was a complete secret. And the reason why is actually super simple. Our eyes just have limits. We literally couldn't see things that were too small. So, what was the key that finally unlocked this invisible world? Believe it or not, it was just a curved piece of glass. Since it was often shaped kind of like a lentil seed, they called it a lens. And this one simple tool had the amazing power to bend light and make tiny things look way, way bigger. So the lens was the key for sure. But it still took a few really curious people to actually turn that key and take a peek through the door for the very first time. So let's meet these pioneers, the people who first explored this brand new frontier. Okay, so one of the very first people to peer into this world was a guy named Robert Hooke. We're talking way back in 1665. He used a microscope, a lot like the one you're seeing, and he looked at a super thin slice of cork. And what he saw was, it was amazing. It was a series of tiny, empty compartments that kind of reminded him of a honeycomb. So Hooke called these little boxes cells, a name that, of course, stuck around. But here's the thing. He was just looking at dead plant tissue. Now, right around the same time, this other scientist, Antonie von Leeuwenhoek, was building way better, more powerful microscopes, and he was the first person to see actual living, tiny creatures. We're talking bacteria and other things just wiggling around in a drop of water. That's why we call him the father of microbiology. So think about what this means. These discoveries revealed something absolutely revolutionary, that all complex living things, from the tiniest little insect all the way up to a giant blue whale, are all built from these basic, fundamental units. So let's zoom in and take a closer look at the cell. Okay, here's the absolute best way to wrap your head around this concept. Just picture a giant brick wall. From a distance, it looks like one solid thing, right? But up close, it's made of thousands of individual bricks. Well, life works in the exact same way. And this is just a perfect illustration of that idea. On one side, you've got that neat, orderly brick wall. And on the other, those are onion cells under a microscope. You see the similarity, right? That organized, repeating pattern, that's the signature of life's building blocks doing their thing. Now, of course, not all cells are created equal. Plant cells and animal cells have some pretty big differences. Plant cells, for instance, have a tough, rigid outer wall to give them structure, plus they have these things called chloroplasts to make their own food from sunlight. Animal cells, though, they have a much more flexible outer layer, a membrane, which is what allows them and us to move around. So the really big question is, how do these individual little units, these cells, organize themselves to build something as ridiculously complex as a person? Well, it all happens in stages. Think of it like levels in a video game, a level of organization that scales up from super simple to incredibly complex. All right, let's break it down level by level. It all starts right here with a single cell. This is the absolute basic, fundamental unit of all life. Okay, next level up. When you get groups of similar cells that all work together to do the same job, you get a tissue. A perfect example is muscle tissue, where all those muscle cells are cooperating to create movement. Then, you guessed it, we level up again. Different kinds of tissues combine to form an organ. Your stomach is a great example. It's got muscle tissue for churning food, but it also has other tissues that produce all the digestive juices. And if we zoom out one more time, we get to the fourth level, the organ system. This is where multiple organs team up to handle a major function in the body. So, for example, your stomach doesn't just work by itself. Nope. It teams up with your esophagus and your intestines to form the entire digestive system. And finally, the top level. All of those organ systems, the digestive, the nervous, the circulatory, all of them, they all work together in concert to form the complete organism, a fully functioning, complex, living being, like you.
Okay, now, before we zoom back down, I've got a great fun fact for you. We keep talking about microscopic cells, right? But the largest known single cell on the entire planet is the yolk of an ostrich egg. It can be up to a whopping 170 millimeters across. Wild, right?
Okay, fun fact over, let's zoom back in. And this time, we're going even smaller than the plant and animal cells we were just looking at. Let's explore the world of microorganisms, or microbes for short. These are life forms that are often just one single cell.
And wow, what a diverse world this is. A single drop of pond water can reveal what is basically an entire zoo of tiny life. You've got these shape-shifting amoebas, these zippy little parameciums, tiny plant-like algae, not to mention bacteria that come in all sorts of crazy shapes, from little spheres to corkscrew spirals.
But the truly mind-blowing thing about them, these microbes are, well, they're everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. From boiling hot springs to solid frozen ice. And yes, even inside our own bodies. We have trillions of helpful bacteria in our gut that help us digest our food. They are, without a doubt, the true survivors of our planet. But maybe their most important job of all is this. They are nature's cleanup crew. Seriously, microbes like bacteria and fungi, they are the ultimate recyclers. They take all the dead organic stuff. We're talking fallen leaves, old food scraps, you name it, and they break it all down. They turn it back into essential nutrients for the soil so that new plants and new life can grow. I mean, think about it. Without them, the entire planet would just be buried in its own garbage. So, there you have it. We've just peeked into this massive hidden world, from the cells that build our very bodies to the tiny microbes that literally clean the entire planet. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other invisible forces, what other microscopic ecosystems are out there right now, quietly shaping the world that we think we know so well?